Today it's Karen versus the grizzly bear. Who wins? And more crazy Karen stories. Also, all my videos are in podcast form. Search for the Austin Stories podcast or check out the crazy story that I'll give you for free, linked in the description. Here we go. Oh boy, I hope you're ready for this one. It is called Karen Demands to Go Through Bear Territory and Almost Gets Mauled by a Grizzly, hosted by Zeemdix. So, for a little context, this story is not mine. This happened to my father in the 80s and the 90s, but I will write it in first person because English is hard. In the 80s, I lost everything I could. I dropped out of college, my father died of a heart attack, and my mother was somewhere in the wind. I wasn't worth the air that I was breathing. As a last effort, I saved up some money to move to a different state so that I could start fresh. I chose Montana to be my new home. Because I didn't have a college degree, I knew that I could only make a living with my hands and not my head. After a bit of looking around, I found work on a ranch. The owner of the ranch, let's call him Jack, took me under his wing. He taught me how to ride a horse, how to herd, how to do cutting and roping, and many other useful skills on a ranch. My goal was to have enough money for a deposit so that I could buy a house, or at least some land. After about 3 years, I had the money, but I loved the ranch and the folks so much that I chose to stay longer. In the spring of '88, I finally made the decision to quit. I was fully honest with Jack about what my intentions were. I told him that I wanted to buy some land to have a ranch of my own and potentially get married and start a family. Being the absolute champ, Jack offered me some contacts of people who were selling land. After some time, I chose a piece of land near Jack's ranch. I got a loan, I bought the land, and in the summer, I started building my house. By winter, the house was done, and it was planned that, in the spring, I'll build a barn and some fences, corrals, among others. In the spring, it was back to work, and before summer started, well, I had nothing to do. I had a lot of time on my hands while I was waiting for all the paperwork to be done. And I wasn't going to spend 2 weeks sitting on my porch doing nothing when Jack promised me that if I would ever need it, he would give me a job. Now, I didn't need a job because of money, but I just didn't have anything to do. So I went to my good old friend Jack to see if he needed some help. He said that he could use me to guide people on the tours that he was offering. Now, his ranch is not only in the cattle business, see, he also offers tours of the pristine nature that's on his property. Hey, I happily accepted the job, despite me, well, not liking people. Hey, but still, it was better than just, well, sitting on my front porch and doing nothing. The first few days went without a problem. But then, a wild Karen appeared to brighten up the day. I was just returning from a tour when I saw this Karen in the middle of the field yelling at this girl who was also a guide. I didn't know the girl, but hey, in my books, whoever makes a girl cry is a butthole. I came over to them and, in the most passive-aggressive voice I can, I say, "Hey, good day, what seems to be the problem?" And then Karen's wrath was now aimed at me, and she yelled back, "This witch has no respect for the desires of the customer. Give me a manager now." Now, I didn't expect such strong wording, but I kept my cool despite my hot-headedness, and I came up to the girl who was now she's just sobbing because this Karen was mouthing off to her pretty good, and I say to her, "Hey, leave her to me. I'll take care of her. You go take a break. You tell Jack that I'll be with this piece of work." She gives me a grateful smile and a nod and rides away. I go to the Karen and I say, "Ma'am, I can't get you the manager as he's busy right now, but if you want, I can be your guide instead for the remainder of the tour." She replies very politely by saying, "Sure, even I think the trees will be better than that witch." Every single part of my hot-headed self wants me to, well, pretty much bury this woman right then and there. But I keep my cool and we head off on the tour. And within the first minute, what a piece of work she truly is. She behaves like she knows best and everyone lesser than her and everything should be given to her. When we're about to turn around and go back, I give her a choice. We could either go to the official route, or we could return by the unofficial route, which is shorter, but there were bear sightings reported in the past few days. I tell her that the unofficial route is quite dangerous, but just as I wanted her to do so, she vehemently objects because she is the wisest person alive and knows the best. Great, my trap had worked. After about 5 miles on this unofficial route, she starts screaming and turns so pale that she is even more white than paper. In the distance, there is a grizzly. I knew about the danger that I dragged both of us into, but in the end, it was technically her choice to go that route. I tell her to make herself as big and loud as she can. I follow suit, but the bear keeps getting closer and closer and closer. It keeps growling at us, and with every growl, Karen was getting ever more pale. After it gets way too dangerous, I shoot a round out of my rifle, and the bear gets scared and runs away into the woods. The entire ride back, she keeps yelling at me that I put her intentionally in so much danger. And yes, I'll admit it was quite reckless, taking a visitor into the part of the woods where there were bear sightings reported, but technically, she made the decision to go that route. I stay silent the entire ride because I can't keep a straight face. I was laughing maniacally in my head, and I knew that if I looked at her, I would start laughing out loud. When we returned, she was shaking violently and was as pale as ever. After I tied up her horse, she demanded that I get her the manager, and I gladly point her to the little building in the distance, and she storms off. She starts yelling at Jack, and I can see that Jack is trying his hardest not to break out laughing. I could hear that she was demanding that I be fired, but the neat part was, I wasn't an employee of Jack's. I was doing it as a favor for a friend, and thus, I couldn't be fired. After the Karen's tirade ends, Jack comes to me laughing like a kid, and he asks me, "How did you even come up with that, OP?" I start giggling as well, and I answer, "Well, she made the girl cry, so I wanted to give her some special treatment. I heard of the bear sightings, and it worked out well in my favor." He then asked me not to do that again, as it was reckless, and I agree, and I tell Jack, "Hey, I don't plan on doing it again, but I had a plan if the bear mauled the dang wretch. My defense would be that I gave her the choice to go on a safer path, but because she was apparently of higher intellect than me, I simply agreed." Jack gives me a smile and heads off. Years later, I would end up meeting that guide girl again. Her name was Abby, but nowadays I simply call her my wife. Oh man, this is one for the books. I love it because it has entitled Karen's, it has danger, it has bears, how she knows better than the experts and disregards them completely. And then the OP, or original poster is what that stands for, just meets the guide girl, saves her, and then marries her. Now the end is where OP switched to third person, so I changed it up to show the father's perspective. That is so cool. He meets his wife because he goes and volunteers for something to help out a friend, and then boom, it is the true butterfly effect in motion right here. One small change leads to a gigantic life-altering moment. OP, hilarious story. I friggin' love it. Let me know if you do too. Way to go, OP. Karen purposely bumps into me instead of going around. Posted by Skygrasper25. This literally just happened to me not more than 40 minutes ago. Today, I'm having a bit of a crappy day, but I'm trying to cope and feel better by being productive. So, I'm off to my bank. It's my lucky day and they are open way late, and I need to get some paperwork done ASAP. I get to a street corner and I'm close to the edge off to the side, making sure that I'm not in the way of anyone who's using the sidewalk, nor standing in the way of anyone who wants to cross too. I've got some feel-good music pumping in my ears, and I'm on my phone and not wholly paying attention, admittedly. But I know for a fact that I'm not being a nuisance and I'm not blocking anyone. I'm just tuning the world out while I wait for the light. All of a sudden, I feel this bump on my leg. I turn around, and there's this old lady with a dolly loaded with some bags, some empty water jugs, you know those big ones at water coolers, and some other stuff. I can't remember what else, it's not important though. What is important is that this lady was standing there, staring expectantly at me. I take a headphone out asking, "Hey, can I help you?" Karen, word for word, says, "You should be careful and take your headphones out." I'm thinking to myself, okay, fair, I guess. I mean, it's a sketchy-ish part of the neighborhood. Weird why she's preoccupied with my safety, though. So out loud, I say, "Oh, I'm fine. Thank you for the concern, but I can handle myself." She interrupts me before I'm even done speaking, and this is when I know she's a Karen. Visibly irritated, she says, "Well, you can't hear anything. I have tried so many times to get your attention and get you to move." Me, I'm looking here, very confused at the very wide expanse of sidewalk that she still has available to her, easily double the width of her dolly. Ma'am, you didn't have to bump me. You could have just gone around me." Now, I should note here that even if she had a problematic, hard-to-turn dolly, she had more than enough room to make a very wide turn without hitting me. She huffs, "I didn't want to have to move around you." That did it. I snapped a bit. "So you thought to bother me? What the heck, lady, you have so much space on the sidewalk." She's even more irate now. "Well, you couldn't hear anything." In my head, I'm like, no crap, it's because I don't want to interact with harpies like you. Thankfully, the light changes and I just roll my eyes and walk off. I yell back over my shoulder, "Hey lady, you have problems." She says something completely unintelligible at me and smoothly turns her dolly up the sidewalk. Like, what the actual heck? Definitely no problems turning. She could have saved both her and I the whole interaction. Why the heck are people so stupid? Okay, like, I get if you're blocking the sidewalk, if you're having some kind of danger posed, I get if there's a problem there. She could go around. She did want to let you know that she didn't like you being there and then just completely turned totally smoothly there. Now, this is an issue that I'm interested in knowing what the right answer is. Let me know what you think, who is in the right and the wrong here. And I'll just say, good job keeping a cool head, OP, because that would have been a pretty stressful situation dealing with the Karen. Check the property line. Okay, posted by Magnus O'Reilly. Back when I was responsible for garden and grounds related issues for a housing developer, Susan popped her head over their neighboring property's fence. Now, Susan was abrupt and rude, but not quite to Karen level, so Susan it is. "Are you going to cut back all of these weeds growing over to my side of the fence?" Yes, I have to reclaim this public footpath, and those same weeds are on council or local authority land, but they will also be causing me problems if I don't deal with it. I'm actually here to do that now. Because it's your company land, and I expect it to be cut all the way around, she motions to all three sides of her white long garden fence. Look, it's growing over into my garden, and it's not been dealt with since your company bought the land. Yes, that's actually why I've been hired full-time. See, I'm not part of the development crew. I'm here to maintain areas and deal with issues, well, like this. Today I can, I can clear the ivy from your fence, but, well, that triangle of wilderness between yours, ours, and the council will have to be around next week sometime. You'll be cutting down on the other side? Motions to where I can't see due to the triangle of wilderness. Actually, no, that side is between you and the council. That school on the other side doesn't open for another year, so I suggest not waiting until then to contact them. Well, what am I supposed to do? Hey, I'm happy to pull down the ivy for you this once and poison all along the fence line. It'll do you for now. The company I work for is trying to improve relations, and as I've stated, I'll take care of this one side indefinitely. I need you to prove that you aren't responsible for that side too. The next day, I consult my drawing map of the grounds and the property line. Turns out I was wrongly informed. My manager expressly forbids me from tackling anything remotely near her fence line. Are you back to cut down this area? Hey, I'm glad you're here, and I show her the drawing. This is the area in question, and it's actually all council property. The yellow line is where my responsibility ends. Susan never had anyone cut down the vegetation. Ivy, bramble, and nettles absolutely ate her fences over the next 3 years, and last time I checked, they were replaced a meter inside the property line. Demi Karen pushes her luck and ends up losing free maintenance along her fence line. She did once ask me to put lots of poison on the offending weeds, but all I could offer her was a normal spray that my company provides if she called. I said that they might offer to do it for the same nominal price that I would do a driveway for, but she never called. Man, this one's as short, sweet, and simple. The Karen's like, you gotta do this and that. And OP's like, yeah, okay, I'll help with what I can. That's fine. I'm just trying to be a good guy here. And then he comes to find out, oh, you know what? She's being kind of bratty. I'm not actually supposed to help with any of this. And he drops that hammer on her, and she just, and then never actually takes care of it. Karen, you had yourself a good place. You shot yourself in the foot. What are you doing with your half a brain that you scientifically have? Let me know what you think. Way to go, OP. Karen lies to our HOA about me, and I ruin her for thousands. If you like this story, you're going to love the fallout on that one. You cannot miss it, so click the video on your screen, and I will see you there.